Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another week of Crunching Your Growth. I'm your host, Phil Masiello, and like always, we try and bring you interesting entrepreneurs. And today's guest is Amy McCord. She's the founder and CEO of Flower Moxie, a brand that has taken a traditional industry, right, flowers, and really flipped the customer experience on its head. When you hear what she's done, I mean, it's really interesting and so much different than what most people are doing or what you think when you go, oh, she's got, a flower site. So it's really interesting, and how she thought of it and all that was just great. So, but she built it around the simple but powerful idea that people do not just need flowers; they need guidance, confidence, clear path to create something beautiful for themselves. Right. So this is where the real business lesson begins, because when you can educate your customer. When you can reduce their fear, make them feel capable, you're no longer just selling a product, you're building trust. Amy is also the author of Blooms Every Day, a modern guide to flower arranging, where she brings her practical approaches, floral philosophy to an even wider audience. So we're going to talk about entrepreneurship. We're going to talk about brand building. We're going to talk about customer education. We're going to talk about the DIY movement and how Amy turned flowers into a scalable, personality-driven business. So let's welcome Amy. Thank you for taking the time to out of your life to come on the show and share with us. I really appreciate it, and welcome.
Well, thank you for having me. I've learned so much from you, and I definitely enjoyed our last chat. And so I feel like I walk away with something. I'm like, ah, Phil said this. So,
I'm going to use that quote on my site. No. So why don't you take us back to the origins of who you are, what you've done, how you got to where you are today, because you didn't really take a traditional entrepreneurship path.
no, no, that's a good question. I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur, and I think that probably took away a lot of friction in the beginning, is because I didn't feel like I had something to prove in the initial phase of it. But I started out the traditional path, which was college, and I went into forensics. So I wanted like a corporate job or a forensics job. That sounded very sexy to me. And I laugh. I tell everybody I had just seen The Bone Collector, and Angelina Jolie had those leather pants on, and all of her love interest. So I was like, oh, that's the life for me. But my dad was self-employed, and it didn't look glamorous. That didn't look glamorous at all. And I was born in the '80s, so they said, if you want to be somebody, you got to go to college. So that's the route I took. But then somewhere in my 20s, this little chapel came for sale, and I wasn't fulfilled in my career choices that far thus far. And I, I think I had just seen the Wedding Planner with J Lo.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have to remember this was like before there was Instagram and Pinterest telling you what you could do with your life. So you just kind of had to like look around and listen to what other adults were talking about,
Hey,
and just try it on for size
and
and
watch a lot of movies.
watch a lot of movies. That's what we did. But I thought, well, maybe I can be a wedding planner, and that really seemed interesting at 25 years old. And my first client did not have a florist, and I thought I had this inside scoop because you could buy a lot of cheap flowers on Sam's Club. And so I
Right.
bought a bunch of cheap flowers, cheap red roses for her, and I, made her arrangements, and they were not good. But I only charged her like $100. And I realized I loved it. Like I loved having my hands in something and standing up and moving. And I just became a self-taught florist. And I was a wedding planner for about total of 14 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And then in, I think it was about 2013, I was bored of that. And I thought, how do I take something that I love and actually scale it? Because if you're a wedding florist, in order to make money, you have to work an event. And it's very hard to scale because it requires so much physical labor, and you've got to rely on a lot of contractors. And so I thought, well, maybe I roll out this website as a side hustle to help people who can't afford to hire me. There's folks that they might only have $500. And so I thought, well, there's a hole in the market. There's an opportunity here and it's kind of niche, but I will give that a shot and then I'll learn about creating an online business. So that's kind of how it all came about. Started in forensics, ended in entrepreneurship. Straight path.
Yeah, but I like the way that you saw the gap in the market for people that sort of wanted to do it themselves or find a less expensive way to do it. But in the call we had, you had said something to me, and I think I have it right. You said I asked you if flowers were your passion, and you said they were not your passion because
Mm,
if you had to run your business with your passion, you would wind up hating it. And it's the thing that stuck in your head while you were sleeping that you had to chase. Did I get
yeah.
it right?
Yes, I mean, you're spot on. I think it's about don't try to run out and monetize what you love. I do love flowers and I loved creating flowers, but I would say like flowers aren't just a burning white hot passion in my life. I think that there's some purpose there. Like I'm a really good teacher and I like to make people brave, if I can, encourage them. And so I would say that's probably like really aligned with who I am, but the actual flowers, I love, yeah, like I love flowers, but I do stick by that statement, which is don't try to monetize something that you love. Like I love throwing pottery, but I would not want to make my living at it because it would change my relationship to it. And then, yeah, look for a problem, look for a hole in the market.
Yeah, I think that's important of what you said, and it stuck with me, and that's why I remember it. Um, and because I spend a lot of time with entrepreneurs. I spend a lot of time coaching people, and everybody always says, "Oh, you find your passion and then go and run with it." And I always thought that because I never followed my passion to build a business because I built a business in skincare. Skincare is not my passion. Shaving's not my passion. So food, however, is, but that's a whole different world. But I think that you made a good point, and something else happened between the time I spoke with you and now. My daughter went to UCLA on an art scholarship. She's an artist. She went to an art high school, and she loves making art. Loves it. Loves painting. She loves ceramics. She loves sculpting, and she's transitioned because she now wants to be a vet. And I said, you know, what was it? And she said, well, two things. She said, first, it's going to be really hard to make a living as an artist. She said, I'd have to figure out how to blend art into something else. She said, but the second thing is, I love doing art. And if I have to do it for a living, like when I have somebody who wants me, she loves she's an equestrian as well. So she loves painting, she loves painting horses for people and doing things like that and animals. She said, if I had to do that, I have that looming now. Now I have to get another contract. I have to get another contract. I have to get another contract just to make a living. I would hate doing it. She said, so I want to be a vet because I love animals and I want to take care of animals. So, and I'm really good at it. She said, so I can do art on the side and then I'll be a happy person.
She's got it figured out
She does.
much quicker than I did.
And as soon as she said that, I was thinking about it and I remembered our conversation about that. And you're so right because I know that when I have a business and I have to do things, there's pressure and there's all this stuff. I wind up not enjoying what I'm doing anymore, you know?
Right.
So
No,
that's,
that's a smart girl.
yeah.
Got a
So,
good dad.
yeah, no, no, no. She is a very smart girl. And she's cool. Like she's very artsy if you saw her in a room with other people, you go, oh yeah, that's the artist.
When you say artist out in California, I already knew she was cool.
It's true. Um, all right. So, can you explain the business model, though, of what you're doing and how you blended it? Because I think that's really interesting. Whereas most people are trying to sell the product, right? Which is, buy the bouquet, send the bouquet. But you're doing something really different.
So, I mean, of course, the product is the flowers, but it's basically how we packaged it. So the best way I can describe it quickly is like Blue Apron for wedding flowers. So this is where the little science brain of mine came in and was actually helpful, was the fact that it's basically been systemized in a way that we send the instructions, we send the recipes, all the bits that you need. So it's basically set up to take the guesswork out of it, because the hard thing is not creating the bouquet. It's all the devil is in the details. And so we figured that out on the backside. And what we do is we put together kits, and I go out to my different farms in Ecuador and Colombia and look at what they have. And I'm also following the trends. And so it's just trying to put together what brides in 2026 are going for, and yeah, trying to make it as seamless as possible so they feel empowered and not afraid, because the biggest question that a bride's going to ask is, am I going to kill my flowers? Am I going to screw it up? And so we have pre-mades for the girls who want most of the work done for them. They can just kind of zhuzh them and maybe add their favorite flowers. And then we have the DIY from scratch for the girls who just want to go all in and just act like a complete florist.
And what's the reception been from customers? I mean, you've got repeat customers, you've got good retention.
Well, not the best retention because it's wedding dominant. So we have one shot. But they do come back to us because we've created another brand, Petal Icon, and that's for flower bars and floral experiences. So the surprising thing about the entire thing is the girls come back and they say, that was the funnest part of my wedding week. And the reason being is that they were with their friends and their family, and they were using their hands and they were creating something. And they just, if they do their homework like they're supposed to, then they'll have a great time. If they don't do their homework and they just like buy the flowers and forget about it and then try to figure it out the day of, then they're going to be my stress clients.
Yeah.
But they just had a really fun time. So they're like, how can I do this again and still be married to the same person? I'm like, well, I have something. So if you want a girls' night, we ship the bits. They get a video, they get a recipe and a diagram, so then they can just create something. And I think that's what we've learned is through the pandemic, novelty creates happiness, and we don't grow out of being creative. We just don't get the opportunity the older we get, and when we're tied up with jobs and student loans, and we just find ourselves doing less creative things. And
Yeah.
so try to create that opportunity.
Yeah, that's true. And the pandemic sort of brought some of that back, though. People started being creative because they had the time or they were stuck at home.
Yeah.
I had a person on my podcast who sells looms all around the world. Looms. It's for making
Oh,
tapestry.
oh, okay. It took me a second.
Yeah, for making tapestries. And she has like different sizes, small, medium, large, extra large, and all around the world she sells them. And I thought when I first heard about the business, I was like, this can't be a business because like how many people are out there looming?
Right.
It's huge. It's huge.
Really?
Worldwide. Huge. She has them made in Wisconsin and she ships them all around the world. And people make tapestries and she has these small ones that people take. You ever see the plein air people like plein air artists? It's like a group. They go out to different places. They set up their easels. They'll go to like a beautiful area and they'll all paint together. She said that people do that, like with looms. They have little groups. They go out, they sit and talk while they're looming and making tapestries, and they try and, do it based on what they're seeing or some inspiration for what they see. And it's huge. And she said during the pandemic, we boomed. She
Yep.
said, and I was
It
like,
did.
it took me it took me really a long time to figure out that this was a great business for her, and nobody else is doing it because nobody else looks at it and goes, oh, we should start making looms and ship them around.
They say the riches are in the niches.
That's the riches are in the niches. There's no question about it. But it's such a when you think about it, the world is so big.
It
that
is.
even if even if it's like 0.1% of the population, it's still huge. It's still a huge amount of people that are buying these looms, and some are buying them for businesses. Like some are, she makes big ones that are not really industrial, but ones that can be used for business. But yeah,
Mhm.
it's amazing what types of creativity are out there in business.
And I mean, I think that's such a great point. Like we do talk about how you don't necessarily want to make the thing that you love what you monetize, but I do think it's really good insight. Like if at 3 in the morning you're Googling Victorian funeral dresses, that's your gold mine. Like lean into that because that little weirdo idea that you have can be something just like these looms. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that um, sometimes things get stuck in your head, and sometimes I love doing the podcast and I love doing the TV show for this very reason, that I like to have entrepreneurs on that have built businesses in different channels, but also in different ways, right? There's a lot of flower sellers online, but not many that are doing what you're doing or how you're doing it, and not many that have the design eye of what you're doing. So it inspires people to think about what they want to do and
Mhm.
what they can do. And I think that's really great because there's a million different businesses you can start. Not everybody wants to build the next Tesla, and they don't have to. They could just build a nice business that makes them happy, makes them money, makes a good living, and just move on.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Um, the other thing I like, and I encourage everybody to go to your two sites. It's Flower Moxie, and what's the other site?
Pedal icon.
Pedal Icon.
Mhm.
Because, and even your social media, because the one thing that I we talked about this. I hate, I despise people that are using AI
Yeah.
in a consumer focused business to create imagery, because it's destructive to your brand, because you're
Yeah.
telling somebody that I'm authentic and I want you to give me your authentic money, but yet I'm going to show you AI slop, and I'm
I'm gonna
against it.
take a shortcut.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
I love AI, and we just created a whole nother business around AI to do some things, and I think it's great, but not when it comes to that. I think that you still have to have an eye. And one of the things I love about your site is I think that the photography is beautiful. I think the staging is beautiful. I think that your social media is beautiful. So it's more than just selling flowers. It's sort of selling an emotion and what flowers can do for you, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's I mean that's kind of our thought behind it is, we want them to feel empowered. So if we're not going to do the work ourselves to show like this is what this can look like, then it would be completely counterintuitive to what we were trying to say to them. Um, so yeah, we do the photo shoots. We have a big photo shoot this week. We're redoing our all of our collections because the style changes every about 5 years, so we have to revamp the recipes, revamp the way we build them, because it's like people don't want the greenery, people don't want wild and organic, they want it to look a certain way. So it's like we have to hire models, start from scratch, get into the studio and build again. So that's what
Yeah.
we're doing this week.
Yeah, but it's more than just showing the flowers, because it's also what goes on behind the flowers. And because what bothers me a lot of times about sellers of product is they take a very product focused idea about their what they're selling, and their Instagram or their website. It's just like product on a background, product on a background, product on a background, and it doesn't really help. It doesn't get across what you're trying to get across, which is the emotion of what you're selling, or the solution of what you're selling, and how beautiful it can look. Because my wife and I redid our kitchen, and there's simple things that my wife wanted done in the kitchen. One of which was like this little border thing around the base of
Yep.
all the cabinets, and she said something to me that it just struck with me. She said, "It's only wood." She said, "It's only wood that's cut. It's not a big deal. So it's wood that's cut, and they shape it and they paint it. So it's like, but it makes it look completely different. Like almost the same thing when you do what's that wainscoting, wainscoting in your house, but now the trend is to do it more bigger, thicker, not so much like that. And she said, it's only wood. And it's so true that there are so many things you can do. Like when I just remember some of the images on your site with the curtains in the background that are just very well placed, and then the flowers are there, and I think it's just fabric, right? It's not like we had to construct anything. It's fabric, and there's so much you can do to make your so many little things that you can do if you have a great design eye to get across what you're doing. And it makes a difference, in my opinion, like when it comes to conversion rates on a website,
Mhm.
because everybody, and we deal with this all the time, the conversion rate's down, and they start looking at, well, it's the button colors, or we have to move this here, or we have to move that there. And I always say it's got to do with the message, and the message is both written and subliminal. And
Yes.
because if you're not presenting yourself the way you want to be presented, then you're not presenting your message. And I think, again, in my opinion, I think you do a really good job of presenting your message both in social media and on your websites.
Oh, thank you. It's that, I had to learn that. I think people like buying from people. And so, you know,
That
we
is true.
we use, we try to be as funny as we can without, some people can get offended easy. So in the early days, like where to like hold that humor line. Um, but I think it's about having, oh, sorry, I just kicked my dog. I'm sorry.
Oh,
He got right under my feet. I think it's about interrupting the brain so our brains are highly efficient and we like to predict what we're about to read. And so, instead of saying like our flowers are 100% guaranteed, this is one that pushes the edge, but people still like it. I say we're not going to leave you stranded with your boobs flapping in the wind. That interrupts the brain real quick and then you have your attention. And so then you follow up with good imagery, and every team member that works with me is on my website and they have a bio, and I want them to see who they're talking to, anything that team member wants to share, but they love to share what they like to do. They like to share their animals, and they have pictures. And on social media, it was challenging being an introvert to put my face on social media, and you're going to get judged, you're going to get comments, and you have to get over that, as I'm sure that you have. But people, what happens is people, they're like, I know Amy and I trust Amy. And so I do very little selling on my social media. Like, I actually recommend, so this last week, calla lilies have been really hard to get because nobody wanted them before. I couldn't give them away. And now everybody wants them and no farm is growing them. So we've had a little bit of shortage. So I bought some fake ones off of Amazon and did a review, and I was like, these are awesome. So if you can get the fresh, then get the faux because, we still want you to have what you want. So they, by watching that, they know like I can trust Amy. She's not trying to like she's referring me to fake callas on Instagram or on Amazon if I get in a bind. And all these florists are like, oh my God, this saved my life last week because my wholesaler couldn't get them. So I just think showing up as real as possible and being awkward and embracing that and not trying to be polished has worked for me. And
Oh,
so,
I think it works for everybody.
goodness, because if I had to be polished, I'd be cooked.
I can't believe you're an introvert.
I'm an outgoing introvert, yeah.
Are you
So,
really?
yeah, I had this little intern, and she pushed me to get on social media, and she said, just get over yourself. She said, get up and record. And she'd be sitting there on her computer and she'd listen, and then she's like, start over.
Yeah.
And I would look at her and she's like, nobody cares about your intro. Just cut to the nut and get on it. Like, get to your point, Amy. And that was technically very helpful.
Yeah.
So it made me a better public speaker, and I realized I love that. So it's just you just have to push yourself. Like, you're never going to be ready. If you wait till you're ready, then it's never going to happen. Just like everything that you've done and your story, it's quite incredible.
I I am never ready.
You know, right?
I am an aim, shoot, get ready, because
Yes.
I'm not good at that. Like, I go and I don't really care. The thing about me, which I think is, and I've talked to my therapist about it, is I just don't care what people think of me. And you can say whatever you want. I don't care. I wrote a book. You want to criticize my books? Criticize my books. I don't see. Show me your book. Did you write one? Oh, you didn't.
That is it right there. Because anybody creating things, they never put anything out there. Or wait, let me say, anybody criticizing something, I haven't seen them put themselves out there.
Yeah.
And so to me as an artist, I never feel inspired to criticize someone because I know what it takes to put yourself out there. So I might say that's not for me or I didn't get anything out of that, but never in my wildest dreams would I be like, I don't like this.
No. I think that one of the problems with social media is it just allows people to be mean to each other.
Yeah.
And I don't particularly like that. But getting back to this whole conversation about what you're talking about, we try on the agency side, we have brands that come to us and they're great brands. And, they're just not performing. And we keep saying, like, to the founder, you have to get out there and talk on social media. I can run ads for you, but it's going to be a waste of money, And I'm not a good salesperson because I do this to people. I say, I don't want to run your ads. It's just going to waste your money. This is what you have to do. And it's only going to take your time and we'll help you. And they're like, no, I can't do it. I can't get out there. So one of the people who works for me, this person, Eric, he said, look, he said, you have a podcast and you have a TV show. He said, let's pretend we're going to have them on the podcast. We'll get them to talk about their brand. We'll get them on there for like an hour. They won't know. They'll think they're on the podcast. And then we'll take that, we'll cut it up and we'll use that on social and and they'll see the results. And that's exactly what's happened. We had one client that had a product that was so relevant to today because it was so focused on not using artificial colors, and it was a dessert product for kids, right? Like Jello and gelatin items and things like this. No artificial colors, no dyes, no nothing. And couldn't get her to make a video. Couldn't. The minute she could talk about it all day long, but the
Yeah.
minute you said, we're going to make a video for social, she'd be like, and so we did just that. And it helped tremendously. And we kept doing it. And she didn't even realize it. We kept saying, all right, we're going to do another one. And we do another one and we do another one. She's like, how many of these do you do? I said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll keep going. And then, somebody in her company finally said, your videos are doing really, really well. And she's like, what videos? Here we are, because we had control over it. We were posting. That's
Yeah.
what we were doing. And all she cared about was the fact that, she was getting sales from it and people were happy. And she went to Walmart because they were carrying her product. They were like, oh, we really like what you're doing with your social. And she's like, what happened? And then she finally looked at it and went, you guys told me, you didn't tell me you were going to do that. I said, I know. That's what we tried explaining to you that this is what you have to do.
Yeah.
You didn't want to do it. So we forced you into it.
I mean, that was brilliant because I think any entrepreneur, if they see a little success in something, you get over yourself and you're like, okay. And I think just telling somebody like, it's okay to be cringe, like let it be cringe, you'll get better.
Yeah. It's you know sometimes cringe is good because sometimes cringe gets engagement. Sometimes people go, sometimes people mess around with it, or sometimes people can see the humor in it. And I don't, if I make a mistake, you know I don't really worry about it. I don't think about it, because if you want to make fun of it, make fun of it. I'll
Yeah.
make fun of it. It makes no difference to me what we do.
My
But I
most, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I do. I make videos and all the time, and I don't really. They're not highly polished, and I don't want them to be. You
Yeah.
know.
No,
So
and honestly, like my videos don't do as well anymore. And I need to change my format because I would always get in my studio and talk, and they want it more just like a FaceTime rather than being behind the lights and in my studio. But I was gonna say that like my most successful reel was on TikTok. Got like, I don't know, 5 million views, all this engagement. And they were roasting me so hard. It was so embarrassing because At the end of the video, I kind of did this. I was holding flowers and I just barely shimmied like lightly. And I was at Trader Joe's and the concept of the reel was just like, how do you go to the grocery store and pick out grocery store flowers? Like, let me show
Yeah.
you as a florist how to do it. Super simple concept. I'd hold up the flowers, shake them. At the very end, I go,
Nice.
those Gen Zers lit me up. They were they were like, that shimmy ain't it, girl. And they're like, you just keep shimmying. And they're like, look at that millennial shimmy. And my employees, they were laughing so hard about it. But like, I'm not gonna take it down. It's hilarious,
Oh
you know.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I
And
was
I'm
like,
surprised that people haven't stolen the clips out of it and taken that and used it in other
it was
things.
just one. It
I
was
know, but I'm
so
surprised that somebody
cool.
hasn't clipped that and like, put it to music and just had you going like
I
that,
need
like,
to.
just over and over again. It would be hysterical. Actually, your people should do that. I'll bet
I
you
know they
it'd be
should.
hysterical. Just put it to music and have you just shimmying. Yeah, man. No, some of my best videos, my best video on TikTok was I was walking my dogs and I said, we had done something. This is like 2 years ago. We had done something really good, and I said, I was feeling really strong today. I said, we helped out this company and they wound up getting sold, and I feel really good as a person. I had a really good coaching session with this one entrepreneur. I said, I'm doing this. I did this speech last night at University of Maryland. I said, I'm feeling really good. I said, but my wife always has a way to bring me down to earth because at the end of the day, and then I did this while I was walking. And at the end of the day, I just panned to my dogs who were both pooping. I said, I'm just the guy who picks up dog poop.
Yes,
And it was funny. People liked it.
absolutely, because
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah. But it's true. That's at the end of the day, no matter what happens, I'm just the guy who picks up dog poop.
Humble you quick.
Yeah. So so let's talk about, you have Flower Moxie, which we talked about, but then you have what's the other one?
Petal icon.
Petal Icon. And why is that different? And why did you decide to do that?
That's a good question. So it's kind of it's the same ingredients as far as the product, but it needed a different branding approach because Flower Moxie is geared towards a DIY bride, which is going to be more conscientious of budget, and she's saving money for her wedding. Where Petal Icon is more for floral experiences, it's for corporate parties, flower bars, girls' night, and then I've got a lot of clients that they're attorneys, CPAs. They love a big bougie hotel arrangement in their house, and they just love the meditative process of following our paint by number diagram and building their flowers. And so that is a different client. And so I couldn't merge them together and have it make sense and have it be successful. So I was like, this really needs a different name, a different brand strategy. So that's why I created Petal Icon. But in the end, it's same team behind it, same great flowers, just packaged different. The marketing message is different, and then uh, Petal Icon is a bit more of a luxury uh, product.
But
We
it's the same. So it's the same process. They're doing it themselves, and like you're not shipping them an arrangement. They're doing it the same way.
Correct. It's more, but it's not in a way of you're DIYing it to save money. It's people who really love that to learn the AIFD, those like higher skilled floral arrangements. So we'll be bringing in celebrity florists who are very
Oh,
conceptual, like Hitomi. That's kind of our goal with that because there's some people that really love that what you would see in an AIFD test or in competitions, like where there's wiring and there's just a lot more to it than just putting together pretty flowers. So they
ah,
like that. So it's more of a floral immersive experience. And then a lot of our clients are corporate where they want to do something for their team, but they don't want to do trust falls and they don't want to do a pizza party. So they want something that they can all do together. And then a lot of them donate it to like the local nursing home. So they end up writing it off. But they end up loving it, and the men actually like it just as much as the women. Like the men get really into it, especially if we like send protea and spiky things. But it's been really interesting, like the feedback that we've gotten.
I could see, I could see men getting into it. I'm not good at it, at that type of thing. I don't have the eye for it because I tried early on. Because every Valentine's Day, I always send my daughters, no matter where they are, I send them the flowers. And I tried one year to buy flowers and make arrangements because I thought I could do that. You get the white, you get the green, you get the, and it wasn't good. So I just said, I don't even know if I could do it because I'm not really good at like paint by numbers either. And I'm not, I'm the I'm the person who I'm the person who gets the furniture delivered that has to be put together, and you get the instructions, and I push the instructions away and just start putting it together, and then
Uh,
I wind up with like six extra screws. There's
yeah,
like,
you're a renegade. That's
yeah,
what you are.
I don't, so I don't know. but but anyway, so I could see men, doing it, especially if you have. I'm sure if I did it with the girls there, they would be bringing me down to reality all the time, saying, "No, stop, do this. You're not doing it right. You're not doing it right." So it would wind up coming out all right because
Well,
they'd
you
be
can't have
smacking me.
beautiful flowers, so
Yeah, yeah. So, and then the other thing that you have is your book,
yeah.
which do you have one close by?
I took the. I don't. I don't. No, I don't have one close by. I gave that one away, but it came out last month, and that's. It's been a whirlwind, but that was a really cool experience.
And what is it? And where is it sold?
Yeah, it's sold on Target, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, Indie Books, Walmart. It might be at your local bookstore. I like it when it pops up in the library. I get really excited about that because I'm a library lover. But it's done really well. It's been received very well, and people have found it helpful, which was the goal. So I think experienced florists can learn a little bit from it, but it's more geared towards a beginner or a new florist or someone who just loves to do it as a hobby.
And what is it?
So it is a floral book that has about 40 projects in it. And so we have everyday arrangements, a wedding section, holidays, parties and gifts. So, if you're hosting a party or you want to do a flower bar, basically there's step by step on each project. And the styling's really fun and pretty. And then there's, I don't get too heady, but there's like design theory, color theory. So basically, I just want anybody who is interested in flowers to be able to get that book and understand like what mechanics should I use, like what's the technical piece, and then what's the artistic piece.
And
So I
what's it?
try to braid that together.
And what's the name of it?
It's Blooms Every Day.
Blooms Every Day.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
published by Quarto, and they did a really good job as far as putting it together and the layout. I felt very proud.
Blooms Every Day, and it's on Amazon and everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
So we'll add that to the description. We'll put the link into Amazon. This way, you could just get it overnight, probably. Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think anybody who writes a book, that's another way of putting yourself out there because you're
Yeah.
just opening yourself up to be judged,
Yeah,
and
you are.
to be able to do it, I think it takes nerve because there's a lot of people that always say, "Oh, I want to write a book," but they're always afraid to do it. So I applaud you taking that step to do it.
Well, I owe it to my publishing company. They reached out to me and asked me to do it. So I had thought about doing a book, but I had the mindset that you just spoke of it. I thought, there's no way I'm ready to do that. And they found me on YouTube and Instagram. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, put yourself out there because the biggest lesson is that things are happening that behind the scenes that you can't see.
Right.
And I was going about my life and I was in a really like rough spot as far as just, you know, I just felt in my in my personal life, I was just like, man, I'm in a, kind of a down time right now. And what do I have to look forward to? My business is going well, but then I got this email out of the blue, and this publishing company is like, "Hey, we like the way that you teach, and we feel like you would do a good job at this." And so I said yes before I felt ready. But I look back and I thought, when I considered that, I didn't think that I had it in me. And it was someone saying that made me consider it. But I think it's a good lesson for myself and anybody listening of like, if you consider it, just go ahead and do it because
Oh, I think that's a great lesson. I
yeah.
think, I think that people, I talked to a guy a couple of weeks ago, a real estate guy, and he's talking about, oh, I have to make videos. I know I have to make videos, but I want to get this done and this done and this done. I said, so you're waiting for perfection. I said, and that's a problem with even starting a business. I said, I guess in real estate, it works for you because, you sell a house or you sell a commercial property. But I said, if you're going to start a business, you can't wait for perfection because perfection will never come. So you
Yeah.
have to put yourself out there. You have to figure out, whether what you're selling is necessary, whether people want it. And I don't care whether it's a book, I don't care whether it's a video, I don't care what it is. And then you reflect on it, you look at it, you look at the stats, the data, and then you determine whether it's right or not. And then you keep going. But there's nothing that can stop you. Like people can sit there and criticize you all they want, but they can't stop you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can stop me. So I,
I what do you think it is? Do you think it's because people are afraid to be perceived in the judgment of if it's not that sharp or if someone like makes fun, or is it that, or is it this internal thing of I have to be perfect? Like how much is external and how much is internal? And I guess
yeah,
it depends on the person, but
that's a good question. I think that most entrepreneurs have a fear factor, right? And some people call it imposter syndrome. I don't believe in imposter syndrome. I don't think that people are afraid that they're going to be shown as an imposter. An imposter of what? I'm a big believer though that people have fear, and I have fear. I have fear all the time, and but I don't let it. You have to break through it. You have to sit there, and I don't care how you do it. I don't care if you get involved in a group. I don't care if you have a coach. I don't care, how you have to get somebody in your life who can help you through
that's
um, that fear. And I think fear stops people from, um, achieving what they really want to achieve in life, right? Because they're afraid that they're going to fail. And that's, I think, what the big thing is, right? I, okay, you want to write a book. People are afraid, well, the book's not going to be good enough. Nobody's going to like it. Nobody's going to buy it. Who cares? If you put a book out there and I wrote a book. My first book was, this is going back. We started selling on Amazon. We built a brand on Amazon starting in 2006. So we got to understand Amazon really well.
oh wow.
And this was probably 2012. I wrote a book on how to sell on Amazon because I saw all these people that were ripping people off by selling these courses on how to sell on Amazon. I was like, you're charging somebody $10,000 to sell on Amazon. It's ridiculous. So, I wrote a book. Okay. And it was okay. It went out there. And 6 months later, people were criticizing it because Amazon changed. And then I realized, man, this is something because Amazon just is going to continue to change. So I'm probably not going to update that book because by the time I update it, Amazon will have changed again. And it's held true. Like Amazon changes so frequently, you can't write a book on Amazon. So I learned a lesson. So I started writing books I wrote a book on marketing, on how to get to how to build to $1 billion brand, and then I built another one on why the why behind the buy, why people buy, and why people don't buy. So
Mhm.
you know people criticize it. I hear it all the time. I don't care. Where's your but my response? My stock response is, well, thanks for the feedback. Send me your book so I can read it. Oh, you don't have one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not like a person that trolls me where if I click on their profile that they have put it like they're an anonymous profile,
Yeah.
like they're yeah, they keep it all buttoned in. But I think that's such a good point that you brought up about having a coach, and that's as a entrepreneur, having been doing this since 2013. I That's the advice that I give. I say I have two pieces. I'm like, one, get a physical trainer. Like, it sounds crazy, but that is my first piece of advice now. And then I'm like, have a business coach. Like, have those two things. And they're like, "Oh, I don't have the time, I don't have the money." I'm like, yes, you do, because you're gonna burn yourself out. And the one thing that we can control is our body. And if you can't get your body in check, then your mind won't be in check. And being physically fit is something that you can't fake. And it's someone that you show up and they're not, they have the plan for you that day. You don't have to think about it. And then have that sit down with that business coach every other week. Let them look at your numbers. Let them ask you the hard questions. I mean, my business coach, he saved me so much money because, as an entrepreneur, your biggest bias is going to be action, and you're going to chase that shiny thing, and you'll get a new brain fart and be like, this is a good idea. And that business coach is going to like test you on it. And there's, like, you do it all the
Well,
time
I do.
and it makes a difference. And I, because people will come to me, once you become successful, they're like, can I pick your brain? Or I'm struggling really hard. And I'll give them those two pieces of advice. And if they don't take it, then I'm not going to waste my time like having coffees with them.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Like, you just want to complain to me, but you're not going to take my actual advice. And that's hard earned advice. Like, I would drive home crying many times. Like, I earned it.
Well, I believe you. Believe
Yeah.
me.
It's like, you get your ass handed to you. So you know what
Oh,
you're
I know it.
doing.
And no, and I agree. I had an investor in one of my businesses, John Scully. He used to be the CEO of Apple Computer, supposedly the guy who fired Steve Jobs. But he used to he was older, and he was still out running every morning. And I said, how far do you run? He said, I don't run far. I just run like 3 miles, but I'm older. He said, but I have to run, and then I go in and I lift weights for a little while. He
Mhm.
said, and he said, I have to. He said, because, he said, I've done it since I was, with Pepsi. He said, because being a CEO, you're almost have to train for a marathon, because there's going to be times when you're going to be stressed, your head is going to hurt, there's going to be a lot of things coming at you, and your body has to be ready for that. And and I was always exercising, but I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you, like being, physically fit, having a trainer, whatever you need to get motivated to do it, I think is perfect. And I agree 100% on having a business coach. Some people think, I have it all figured out. I'm scaling, I'm doing, I went from zero to, 5 million or 6 million or 10 million, and I'm fine. I don't need you. Well, you know,
That's when you really need them.
yeah,
You start.
because you need somebody just to bounce things off of. Like you said, the bright, shiny thing, there's so many things coming at you that you think, oh my God, fear of missing out. I need to have that. I need to have that. And you can waste a ton of time and money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
So,
so, yeah, that's so true.
yeah. So, on that note, we have about a minute left.
Okay.
Any parting words for anybody? Inspirations, words of inspiration. We'll have your websites, flowermoxie.com and pedal
Pedal icon.
pedalicon.com in the description. We'll put the link to your book, which is called Bloom Every Day.
Blooms every day. Yep. You got
Blooms Every Day, which we'll put the link to the Amazon in there if anybody's looking for it. And any parting words?
it. I would say I feel like I would just say, the courage to do something always comes midair. And I think it's a very thematic of what we've been talking about, which is you have to jump first.
Yeah,
Got to jump first. You will get the courage midair.
you have to jump. Sometimes the parachute opens, sometimes it doesn't.
Well, yeah, and I think lastly, maybe addressing what we were discussing about fear. I think when you can really internalize the fact that nobody's thinking about you, and nobody, like, my immediate family cares about me.
Sure.
My close friends care about me. I know that. But even them, they're not, like, we're all thinking about ourselves. And so if that fear bubbles up, it's just the thing that kind of gets me through is just like, just accept you're kind of low key ugly and then accept that nobody's thinking about you. And the freedom that comes with that is chef's kiss.
That's a great way of looking at it. All right. Well, I'm sorry, but we are out of time. I really enjoyed this conversation with you. I really
Likewise.
do. I think that, you know, the, you made me have a powerful reminder that great brands aren't always built by making something more complicated. Sometimes they're built by something that you take something that's intimidating and make it feel possible. So I think that's a lesson every entrepreneur should pay attention to. Your product matters, but the experience around your product is what creates the brand. So really appreciate you taking the time to come on and sharing with us. And we hope great success, and we'll have all your information down below if anybody wants to go. Flower Moxie and I forgot Petal. I
Petal
can't,
icon.
Petal Icon, and the book and everything else. So if you want to find out what Amy does, just go to those websites and you'll see it.
Well,
And
thank you so much.
thank you, and we'll see you guys next time.